My friends, you know what I'm real good at? I'm real good at predicting the future. You want to know what's down the road? Here we go. This is Howard Riell. The show, of course, is Riell Truth. Item from Reuters. The number of anti-Semitic incidents in the United States surged by 57% last year, according to a tally by the Anti-Defamation League. An increase the advocacy group's chief executive blamed on a variety of factors. But here's a related item from Pew Research. Judaism will no longer be the largest non-Christian religion in the country. And by 2050, Muslims are projected to be more numerous in the U.S. than people who identify as Jewish on the basis of religion. Due in part to their continued migration into the country, Muslims are forecast to make up 2.1% of the U.S. population by 2050, up from 0.9% in 2010. So, my friends, you want to know the future? Well, that's easy. Let's take a look at Europe today. Attacks on Christians and Jews, burned churches and synagogues, increased political pressure to favor Islam over the other two religions, and to step up immigration from Muslim countries. Eventually, America will become Europe, even as Europe becomes the Middle East. America will become a declining third world nation that has lost all control of its destiny. That's the future. It's a pretty freaking bleak future, isn't it, my friends? Well, here's the good news. It can be prevented. The good news is that bleak dystopian future can be prevented, and the bad news behind the good news is that we are the ones who have to do it. So roll up your sleeves, get busy, get active like I say on the show all the time, get angry and stay angry, because if you don't, America, very much like Europe, is all but finished. That could be the future, my friends. Take a look at your children. Take a look at your grandchildren and ask yourselves, am I going to allow that kind of future for my kids and grandkids? If the answer is yes, well, I wish you good luck. If the answer is no, we need to start defending ourselves as a civilization, as a society, as a Judeo-Christian culture. We need to start defending ourselves. So it's good that you're listening to the show today, because that's what we're going to be talking about like we do all the time. It's Wednesday. It's Riell Truth. And yes, my friends, be confident. I will be back.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution. American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Please make every effort to keep track of your little ones at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228. Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo's.
All right, guys, we're going to be talking about the fate of Europe and hence of America. But let's begin with Ann Coulter addressing Oxford Union. Now, yesterday, you remember, I played Roger Stone speaking to Oxford Union. It was a fascinating discussion. Here's Ann Coulter following in his footsteps. Go.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? I don't want you to miss any of my invective. Everyone can hear. I was just talking to no one asked me what the title of my speech was going to be, and I thought I had a really good one 2 weeks ago. I wanted it to be Donald Trump, America's greatest president. Because I figured if he keeps his promises, he will be America's greatest president. And also, I kind of assume everything you guys hate about him, I love about him. However, we have these Cro-Magnons, not many of them, but in America, and they are defending every single thing Trump does. He sells out the base, and you see all these tweets online or blog posts going up. Oh, you don't see what he's accomplished here. He's playing 3D chess. If I hear that 3D chess thing one more time, I'm going to track them down and kill their children. They are really not helping. We need to hold his feet to the fire. He's very easily distracted. So maybe the title would be Donald Trump, America's greatest president, with a question mark. We'll leave it at that. If you are familiar with my work, you know that I was Donald Trump's first supporter even before Donald Trump thought he could win. He won me over with the Mexican rapist speech, and there was no turning back. It's not like he's some master political strategist. He didn't come up the way most politicians do. He wasn't a senator. He wasn't a governor. He was a reality TV star. He just saw this $1,000 bill lying on the ground and said, hey, anybody else going to pick this up? I think I'll pick this up. Because for 20 years, both political parties have been lying to us. They win an election, but the American people don't win. No, their job is still outsourced. Their manufacturing plant gets moved to China. Their wages are going down like mad as cheap labor is dumped on the country. Their kids are boxed out of college by affirmative action for immigrants, new people being brought in. That's what a win for the Republican Party looks like. But that wasn't what a win looks like for Donald Trump. No, he was the first person in my lifetime, well, I guess there was Reagan, who came along and said, I'm going to put America first. Americans first on trade, on immigration, on war, on jobs. Who could have guessed that appealing to this small niche of the voters, the American people, would be so popular? No one in the Republican brain trust. No, they were blown away by that. For years, my party, my ex-party, is now the Trumpian Republican Party. But the official GOP Republican Party, their position has been, you want to run for Republican. They say, oh, yeah, okay, fine, that's great. Here are these issues you need to take. You're going to be for massive tax cuts, for pointless wars, for destroying the entitlement programs. It's like saying, here, we're going to give you some leg weights and blinders, and here's this 80-pound backpack for you to carry with you. Well, luckily for Trump, he didn't need the donors. He didn't need the party. So he could just run on the popular issues. He could take one from each side, whatever's popular, he'd do it. It was as if all the other Republican candidates, and I'm mostly talking about Republicans here, because that's the big shakeup, it's as if they all said, no, we're too dignified to take steroids. We won't run on those popular issues. And Trump said, screw it, I'm taking steroids. So it wasn't as if voters looked around and thought, oh, look, there's this tacky ghost reality TV star. Let's make him president. That would be fun. No, they finally had someone who was offering them a chance to vote on the issues they've been dying to vote on for 30 years. Obviously, the biggest issue that he ran and won on was immigration at every single campaign stop. Build the wall, build the wall. It was the line that launched 1,000 hats, posters, signs, chants. prototypes. And the left was upset about this because, number one, lots of cheap labor is really good for the rich. They get to look like big humanitarians, and they get the house cleaned. So they got Juanita the maid, and they get to strut around like they're Martin Luther King. It's also great for the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, weirdly enough, hasn't been able to get a majority of white Americans to vote for them since 1948, other than the aberrational 1964 landslide. That's kind of a tough record to run on if you can't get any white Americans to vote for you. So Democrats just looked around the country and said, okay, you won't vote for us Americans? Fine, we're bringing in ringers. And that's what they did with Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act. Apparently, our entire lives have to be dedicated to, honoring the ascendancy of this one Irish Catholic family. Everybody in the Kennedy family gets a prize. So, Bobby and JFK got to have civil rights, but Teddy was in his room pouting and wouldn't come out until he got his own legacy. So they gave him civil rights for the entire world, like the belief of some weird hippie cult. The rest of the world has a right to move here, and you have to support them. That's our immigration policy now. So instead of people who have been populating America for the first 4 centuries of its existence, which was mostly British Isles, Germany, and Western Africans, suddenly we were taking the poorest of the poor, people from the most divergent cultures. It's like, no, this isn't going to be difficult enough that they're poor and have no skills. Let's make sure they also don't speak our language. And we have taken in now more than 50 million immigrants. 85% of them, this is since the 65 Act, it really started in 1970, 50 million immigrants, 85% from the third world, driving down wages, harming the working class, and the Democrats don't care. They're getting the votes. And the Republicans don't care because their donors want the cheap labor.
And Americans care because we're getting shafted every single day. There's something about this Oxford Union and their series of talks. They're really, really good. I kept going back to Roger Stone yesterday because I couldn't stop listening. What he was saying was that interesting and important. And it's the same thing with Ann Coulter. So when we come back, guess what we're going to listen to? Go ahead, guess. We'll be right back.
Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on sustainable power, but we have extensive experience with utility interacting systems as well. Custom capabilities on the customer, uniting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience in let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com.
Lowering the council of the nation's defense. He makes the plans of the people of the defense. The council of the Lord stands forever. The plans that are to all generations. Limited is the nation. With God is holy. The people he has chosen as his own inheritance. Psalm 33, verses 10 through 12.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. Not all men are created equal. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America's News Network.
My friends, I told you she's great. I love Ann Coulter because she gives you the straight truth. She gives you facts. She gives you insight. Let's go back to Ann Coulter in England, speaking to students at the Oxford University Student Union.
Unfortunately, since becoming president, he has not really been pedal to the metal on his promises. But his campaign is good for the population. The three pillars of his campaign that neither party, that no one at either of the two parties brought us, were no more an end of the free wage immigration, definitely illegal immigration, an end of job killing trade wars, and an end of
This, my friends, is why Europe is dying. And before you know it, it'll be gone. This chick talking to Ann Coulter, she is why Europe is dying. Ann Coulter is making, God help her, common sense. You bring in Muslims who don't have educations, don't speak English, who want to go immediately on welfare, and so you're going to get welfare cases and crime and terrorism. The girl from Europe says, well, now hang on one second. How can you pinpoint one particular group? She's a liberal. The thing that's killing Europe more than Islam is liberalism. They're willfully deaf, dumb, and blind. A Muslim blows up a building. Don't say anything negative about Muslims now. Don't single out Muslims. This, and hopefully historians in future centuries will listen to the show and so they'll know. This is what's killing Europe. This is what still very well might kill America. Jihad attack after jihad attack after jihad attack, but don't say anything about Muslims. That's what the death knell for a continent sounds like.
We harm the lives of many. No, well, in fact, I'll get to that.
This, again, my friends, this is liberalism, which I've already told you is the cancer eating away at the world. Here's a liberal European girl saying, you called all immigrants a-holes. No, she never did. It's a lie. It's fake news. It's propaganda. It's spin. It's low information people making stuff up rather than having to go out and find the truth. They just make it up because it makes them feel good and it justifies their arguments, and it is crap. Did you hear what Donald Trump said? When you research it, you see he never said it. Did you hear what Ann Coulter just said? Turns out she never really said it. This happens all the time, my friends. I'm guessing that you know that, and that's why you listen to this show where that doesn't happen. How much time is wasted people denying that they said things that they truly did not say? So this smug liberal chick at Oxford, look at the smile on her face. If you watch the video, you'll see it. She thought she really had Ann Coulter just now. You said something totally outrageous. One tiny problem. She didn't say it. Game, set, match for Ann Coulter. We'll be back.
area being nice too. Our system would rely on the sun to make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Plus, of catered capabilities on emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplainsolar.com. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. The people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
My friends, they call him Europe's Donald Trump. He was one of the moving powers behind Brexit. His name is Nigel Farage. He spoke last week at CPAC. His comments were superb. Let's give a listen.
Gentlemen, without further ado, it's Mr. Brexit, Nigel Farage.
My friends, the greatest single gift that the Democrats could give to the human race would be to nominate Hillary Clinton again. As big a disaster as she was last time, she'll be a disaster on steroids and growth hormones this time. Please God, let Hillary be the Democrat candidate again. My friends, of course it goes without saying the FBI is investigating Nigel Farage. What do you want them to do? Protect school children? You want them to arrest people who want and brag about wanting to become school shooters? Well, you want them to keep school children in Florida from getting shot to death? They've got more important things to do. They've got to track down that Russian collusion, which of course doesn't exist, but that doesn't mean they're not going to spend over a year, going on 2 years now, and tens of millions of dollars investigating whether or not a hooker actually peed on a bed in Russia. And if while they're doing that 10, 20, 30, 40 children get shot to death, well, that's okay. They're the FBI. They're not answerable to you or me. They are the strong arm of the swamp. And like all parts of the swamp, they don't care about you or me or school children. They've got bigger fish to fry. Nigel Farage, for example, is one of those fish. So inadvertently, Mr. Farage has highlighted for us exactly how deadly the swamp can be, and why we're so lucky to have a president dedicated to draining it. Finally, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and listen to more from Nigel Farage at CPAC here on Riell Truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, Congress Reader.
Well, it had to happen. Colorado legalized marijuana. Most people thought the green herb was a dispensary. Also, it was legalized on January the 1st, 2014. The same day we opened our new location at 4560
All right, guys, let's not waste any time. Let's go back to Nigel Farage giving a brilliant speech at CPAC last week. Go, Nigel.
Well, let me tell you,
Tell me.
I've never been to Russia.
By the way, my friends, you can put your silver tinfoil hats back on. It wasn't so long ago that if you said there are people out there who want one world government, you'd be laughed at. Today, it's common knowledge. You know, when I started doing the show, I referred to my listeners as the tinfoil hat brigade. Well, they're not anymore because the tinfoil hats have come off. This August will be 10 years that I've been doing this show. And over the past 10 years, all the things that used to be these bizarre, come on, what are you kidding me? All these strange conspiracies, turns out they're all real. Turns out they're real. And they've been exposed to the daylight. And so now we know, and now everybody knows who the Bilderbergers are. Now everybody knows that George Soros and his people do indeed want one world government. Everybody knows that there's a deep state, and everyone knows that there's a swamp. You go back 10 years, everybody didn't know these things. So my hat's off. See, hats off. My hat's off to Nigel Farage. So what Nigel Farage is saying, he's not using these words, but I will. He's saying that if you want this revolution to continue, if you want more and more promises kept, if you want America made greater and greater and greater and greater, you got to stay angry. You've got to stay angry. For all I know, Farage listens to the show, and that's where he got it. But even if he didn't, you got to stay angry, because if you get complacent, you get passive, you get cleat marks on the back of your neck. We'll be back, and we'll wrap it up here on Riell Truth.
The most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioH.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioH.com. Spelled BIOAGE.com. BioH.com. Or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioH, the age of advanced organic.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
Elizabeth Locker Plan and Elizabeth reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early age. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Locker Plant, located at 366 Grant Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized aged beef and pork and complete custom processing. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240.
Item from the Daily Wire. Democrats, true to their ignorant form, are once again frivolously giggling at President Trump for suggesting he would have entered the Parkland school building unarmed during the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. At a meeting with governors to discuss school safety measures, Trump explained, quote, "I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too," unquote. Trump's opponents on the left quickly pounced. Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane posted a GIF image of President Trump apparently showing fear as a bald eagle nearly bit him. 1970s film star Mark Hamill tweeted, hashtag it's fun to pretend. Twitter user Bryce Tash wrote, quote, "You'll never be a hero, never." Trump's lightly educated critics ignore history, including a 1991 incident in which the Donald rushed to stop a mugging in New York and chased the armed assailant away despite lacking any weapon himself. As James Rosen reported at the time in the New York Daily News, quote, "When he saw a big guy with a big bat bashing another fellow, Donald Trump did what any self-respecting billionaire would do. He ordered his driver to pull over. Trump confronted the armed assailant, who recognized him and claimed not to have done anything wrong. Trump reportedly asked the mugger, 'How could you not do anything wrong when you're whacking the guy with a bat?' The mugger then ran away," unquote. So, my friends, it appears that these idiots on the left, Seth MacFarlane, Mark Hamill, Bryce Tashi, it appears that they're kind of rectums, aren't they? And you know what comes out of rectums. Item from the Daily Wire. On Tuesday in South Africa, a shocking vote in the National Assembly ruled that white South African farmers will be removed from their land. The vote, prompted by a motion brought by radical Marxist opposition leader Julius Malema, was not even close. 241 legislators voted for it, only 83 voting against it. Malema told his supporters in 2016 he was, quote, not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least for now, unquote. Supporters of the motion issued harsh statements. News 24 reported Malema saying before the vote was taken, quote, the time for reconciliation is over. Now is the time for justice, unquote. Gugili Nkwinti, Minister of Water Affairs, echoed, quote, the ANC, that's the African National Congress, unequivocally supports the principle of land expropriation without compensation. There's no doubt about it. Land will be expropriated without compensation, unquote. So, my friends, I've got a question. All the blacks in Africa, in Europe, in America, who've been screaming for decades, we want equality. Doesn't this kind of sort of hint at the possibility that they didn't really want equality, but they kind of sort of want superiority? Doesn't seem to me that the blacks in this African country are looking for equality. It seems to me they've got it. Now they want to start stealing land from people just because of their race, and even killing them because of their race. So you got to wonder, is racism bad? Well, obviously it's bad. But doesn't racism go in two different directions? So is it bad in one direction, but not so bad in the other? This is the profound stupidity we deal with every single day. My friends, I'll be back tomorrow with more real truth. Hasta luego.